Are you a business owner or employee who needs to network but is terrified of walking into a room full of people you don't know? Are you afraid of being left out of conversations or being awkward in the conversations you do have? Your tour guide, Faithann, is here to walk alongside you through the networking terrain, offering tips and tricks to network with ease. Grab your sunscreen and suitcase. Faithann is ready. Are you?
Welcome, new and returning listeners. I'm your host, Faithann. You've found the place to get your networking questions answered one episode at a time. Let's dive in to episode 64. This episode is a best of compilation from the remaining 10 guests. I asked one simple question: what do you like to see when you network, and what do you not like to see when you network? Before we get started, I wanted to share a quick heads up about what's coming next here on the podcast. In the coming weeks, I'll be bringing you a special series within this podcast focused on networking in and around the real estate industry. I'll be interviewing realtors and professionals who serve realtors to give you a behind-the-scenes look at how relationships are built in that space and how networking decisions are really made. The series is especially for those of you in the trades, in home services, or in industries where real estate transactions fuel your referrals. This series will also be valuable to you if you're a newer realtor looking to learn from more experienced professionals, or if you simply want to understand how networking supports the many industries connected to real estate. We'll be talking about how to build rapport, how to stay top of mind, and how to approach networking with relationships at the center. One real estate transaction touches many industries, and the series will help you navigate those connections with confidence. I'll be sharing more details soon as everything comes together. And now, without further ado, here's today's episode, a best of the final 10 guests answering the question, what do you like to see when you network, and what do you not like to see when you network? I always ask people two questions as we end the show. What do you like to see when you network? And what do you not like to see when you network?
That's a good one. What I love to see when networking are people who are open for other people to join their group. So I was at a networking event probably 2 weeks ago, and I went with a friend, and that was really interesting because it could either be because you go with a friend, you stick together, you have conversation with each other as opposed to expanding your group. So that was an interesting thing. He and I stood behind or stood next to another set, like just two people that were talking. And we were there for probably about a really horrible, awkward minute. And, we obviously wanted to break in, but no judgment, whatever. But they ignored us for literally a minute. So that is one thing that, like, if you're coming to a networking event, please be open for others joining your circle. If you want to have a private conversation where you do not want to be interrupted, go to the side or leave the room. But you're here for a purpose. So please be open and willing to have others join your circle. So I guess I don't know, that's kind of
That's kind of both.
yeah.
And I always ask people two questions before we wrap things up. So, what do you not like to see when you network?
That's a good one. I think when I network, I don't like to see people almost, if you're networking for your business, but you're almost leading with like this friendship thing first, like, oh, like I would love to go to the park, but you have an ulterior motive behind that. I would rather you just be honest and say, hey, I'm a networking tour guide and I'd love to be on your podcast. Like a very direct ask instead of having an ulterior motive behind what you're doing. So when I network, I just wish people could just say what they want and what they need, allow us to meet that need, and then we can build a relationship forward. But don't do it the opposite way because it feels sleazy and inauthentic and it just doesn't feel good for people.
Yeah, if someone's wanting to be your friend, quote unquote, because they want your business, that doesn't feel the same as somebody wanting to be your friend because they like you or they see a potential there. Okay.
Yeah, and just say it. Just say, hey, I would love, hey, Brandy, I love your personality. I'd love to go out for coffee. But if you're wanting something business related, just make the direct ask, because people appreciate you being authentic more than they appreciate you trying to pretend you want one thing when you can feel that it's something else.
Yeah. And I tell people too, don't offer to buy somebody coffee, because that can be taken as, hey, I bought you coffee. Now you
Do me
owe
a favor back.
Right. You owe me something. So don't offer to buy it. Now, what can happen though, what's really fun is if you just pick up the tab at the end and they don't know. And so I got this, but don't do it as a I'd love to buy you coffee, because the first thing that someone thinks is, okay, great. What do you want from me? You're buying me coffee. So yeah.
I see this on, so you're talking about in-person networking, but I also see this online a lot, where somebody like will share a post about like, Faithann is such a great person. I've met her recently and I just love her personality. And then 2 weeks later, you see that same person that shouted that person out, asking that person, hey, you should join my program. You should do that. It's like, was that a friendship, or were you giving them a shout out in return for something else? And it's just gross.
Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah. Well, what do you like to see when you network?
Yeah, I love to see a win-win relationship and just people leading with authenticity and like being direct, right? So, hey, Faithann, I'm being direct. I'm looking right now for 3 new roofing clients. But what are you looking for? Because I'd like to help you find what you're looking for too. Not, Faithann, you want to go out for coffee and you want to go on a date and it's just like very direct.
Yeah.
And we're transparent. It's like we all are business owners. We're all looking for business, or we wouldn't be at the networking event. Let's just get honest about that.
So what do you not like when you network? What kinds of things do you just like, ooh, I wish that wouldn't have happened?
There isn't much, because when you learn in this type of business to pour out your heart into what you do, but let's get real in that we all don't always speak from the heart, right? Because we always feel like, but networking honestly isn't always easy, right? So the one thing many of us quietly struggle with is the fear of being misunderstood and coming off too strong, even when you're just as excited just to share something we love, right? And that's like a tug of war, right? Have you ever had to play that tug of war, right? And so how do I stay true to myself while growing this business? Because I feel that if I made that decision to come to networking, how am I going to get rid of that fear? It's a reminder that we can lead with authenticity, connect with purpose. So if you're going there, it's kind of like when my mom used to say, if you're going to church just to go for me, don't even go, right?
Right.
I don't know why I brought that in, but she just came into my head. And you still have to shine bright in any type of business, but you have to keep going. You never know who you're going to inspire by just being you. And I think we sometimes forget and try to think of a script or what we want to say, right? And that's not it. It's basically it's the fear of getting up and giving your 30-second commercial, but then there's where Faithann comes in to help you with that 30-second commercial and help you with how to make yourself feel you.
Well, this has been so much fun. Before I let you go, I always ask each guest 2 questions. And since we met networking and you network quite a bit, what do you like to see when you network?
Some of my favorite networking to attend, maybe I can start there. Some of my favorite networking to attend is something with an education piece. I can go sit in a room with 50 people and we can do a 30-second, elevator pitch. Great. But I really enjoy the education piece because what I have figured out is that tends to tell me who I need to get in front of before the other stuff. Because depending on what questions they're asking or how that room is taking it or those pieces, I can normally tell when people are having an interactive conversation like this, who are the people that I need to talk to more, because I can pretty much tell depending on how they're answering questions or what kind of questions they're asking, if they're the kind of person that I want to talk to.
That's really interesting. I mean, learning, like really getting really good at reading people. And what's the one thing that you're really looking for in somebody that tells you, yep, I want to work with that person, or I want either on either side, either become a customer or serve them as a vendor?
what I'm looking for in
Yeah, like when you're evaluating and you're listening, what's one thing that's like, ooh, I need to talk to that person. She or he would be a good client for me.
two things. One, how they communicate, and two, when I sit down and I do a consult, maybe a meet and greet, maybe a possible customer, the two things I listen for in my calls are the way that they communicate and how they communicate where they are in their business.
Mm.
Because I have some people and they'll say, well, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing this, or I don't have any money, or I mean, people will give you signs in that call. And so I can automatically tell, okay, more than likely working with them is probably going to be a little bit more difficult, right? Versus someone who's more organized and has everything together. No, I'm not saying that, I'm not going to, but you can tell a lot in that 30-minute call, a little bit more where they're at.
So I always ask two questions.
Okay.
What do you like to see when you network?
I like to see people arrive a little bit early. I know they always say it's fashionable late, but not with the networking, because when it's too late, they're in the middle. You're missing people's discussion about themselves, their spotlight. But more importantly, the meeting may be going on and they need to leave as soon as it's over with, as soon as they eat lunch or whatever. But getting there early, you start to meet people and you see them as genuinely who they are. And that to me is when you make the most sincere contacts, not just handing them business cards.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need business cards. I mean, we do, but what I'm saying is more importantly, what we need is shaking hands, or if you know them well, giving each other a hug, or you're bonding with that individual so that you've got each other's back and you help each other with the business. So what I love to see is that camaraderie, that sense of community at each networking that I go to. And I think when I'm at a networking event that I've never been to, I know also that it's also like other networking. There's
Right.
people that are desperately trying to fit in, and we're taken back to those years in high school or junior high where we might have been bullied. Like, what if nobody invites me on the team, or what if nobody invites me to sit down at their table?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not that. It's not junior high. It's not high school. These are people that are wanting to make connections, and it's not about who has the coolest car or who at whatever. It's about how can I help you? How can you help me? And so that's what I like to see at network. I love that immediate bonding at the beginning of just the small talk before everyone takes their place, and Faithann says, "Okay, now the meeting's coming to order."
Right. Well, I usually have somebody like you or Jeff or somebody who's got a loud
Yeah,
voice to get a, because mine is tiny, teeny, teeny, and nobody can ever hear me anyway. So, and also I
No.
think, don't you think too, you find that, the ones that come early, it's like they're very at ease. Like the meeting
Totally.
hasn't quite, quote unquote, started yet. So you get them a little bit more authentic because they're not anticipating, okay, now I have to. It's just,
Right.
we're here early, we're just hanging out, and you get a little bit more.
That's it. Like, what are you going to have for lunch?
Right.
Cool. I saw you. What did you get a new car? Oh, or it was used? Oh, wow. You're talking about things that are just normal that we all go through.
Mhm.
And that to me is refreshing, and it sets the pace, because if you arrive late to the meeting, you're going to be rushed, and then you get up for your 30 seconds, you're going to rush that message,
Mhm.
and people have no idea what you said. They don't know what your name is. They don't even know what you do.
So, what do you not like to see when you network?
Someone who's disingenuous, someone who's just there to check it off of their list. All right, okay, I handed out business cards. So I don't like to see, unless some events are very specific with their rules. But if you're there and you arrive early just to put business cards on every table when they weren't asked for, and you're not probably the featured speaker, I think that's a little presumptuous, and it's a waste of time for you and for the individuals they didn't ask for your information, and you're thinking that they need the information.
Have you ever had this happen? You're chatting with someone at a networking event, and they say, "I've been needing help with that," or "I've been meaning to reach out to someone like you." You smile and later think, wait, was that a buying signal? Most networkers miss these moments, not from inexperience, but because no one ever taught what buying signals actually sound like. That's why Faithann is hosting a new mastermind, Buying Signals for Networkers. based on Nikki Rausch's book, Buying Signals. In this small group, you'll learn the exact phrases people use when they're ready to work with you and get guided practice so responding with confidence becomes second nature. With both in-person and virtual options available, you can join from anywhere. The waitlist is open now. Waitlisters get early access and special pricing. Tap the link in the show notes to save your spot.
I always ask guests 2 questions as we wrap things up. What do you like to see when you network?
What I like to see. I like to see when people are okay being vulnerable about their business. Back to the example of the huddle, we've had people before that, and they'll get 5 or 6 or 7 minutes and they'll talk the entire time about what they do and why they're so great at it, which I understand you need to present a good front. But the purpose of the huddle is for you to tell us something that's not going well. Tell us a struggle you're having, right? And it's okay to be vulnerable when you're networking, especially if somebody asks you, hey, what are you struggling with right now? The answer probably shouldn't be, oh, nothing, everything's great, right? I like it when people are okay being vulnerable because they're going to get some great feedback that's going to help them take care of that struggle.
That's a great answer. Very, very good. And what do you not like to see when you network?
Yeah, so this one's a no-brainer, and probably everybody says this, but I just don't like it when you can just tell that somebody has selfish intentions when they network. It's all about them. They're there to talk about themselves and to get stuff from you and to, I don't know, push their stuff on you as opposed to feeling like they're there to learn more about me, right? So back to what you said earlier, having that service mentality of seeing what we can do for them. That's how I like to see people show up. So I don't like it when they show up all about themselves.
Well, this has been so much fun, Dirk. Thank you for reaching out to me, and thank you for your kind words. I always ask 2 questions as we wrap up our episodes. Dirk, what do you like to see when you network?
I really love to see open communication. I love when I can walk in a room and I see people like huddling around together, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to be part of that group. Let's go find someone that looks like they don't want to be there. So I try
Mm-hmm.
to go search them people out. And hey, I'm Dirk with DNP Home Inspections. What do you do for a living? Okay, tell me more.
Mm-hmm.
And those kind of questions, okay, I'm sitting over here. If you want to sit up there with me, you can. If not, that's okay too. I'm all right with that. I love networking. It's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of
And
fun. What do you not like to see when you network?
the people that are selling to me, I don't really want to be sold to. If I want to be sold to, I'd go to Home Depot or whatever and go look at stuff that I need to be sold to. I didn't join networking to be sold to. I'm there to network, to understand your business, to get you better or bigger, whatever. So I get so many emails from other people across the world. I can brighten up your Facebook page, and I can do this, and I can do this for you, and this, and they're from BNI. It's like, dude, I don't want to be sold to. You want to do a one-to-one? Not really.
That's so dumb.
It
Wow.
is. It is dumb. I just hate it. It's like, if you want a home inspector and you're in Central Florida, come talk to me. Maybe we're a good fit. Maybe we're not. I want to make sure that you're comfortable. I don't want to be feeling uncomfortable because, oh, I want to sell you my product. No, I don't want to sell you my product. I want you to come want my product.
Well, this has been a really fun conversation, and I always ask my guests 2 questions before we end, and you guys can pick which ones you want to answer. So the 2 questions are, what do you like to see when you network, and what do you not like to see when you network?
I'll tell you what I don't like to see when I network, and it's
Mm.
Nolan. I don't like to see
I know.
Nolan when I network. Really try and avoid him.
My mug, terrible to see on a weekly basis.
No, I'll say I don't like to see low energy. When it comes to a networking event, if we don't have the right environment that welcomes everybody, where you can tell it's not gonna, if you say hello to someone, they're not gonna, slap you upside the head and tell you to go away. But sometimes you can go to events and it feels like that, like you've really offended somebody. Everybody's trying to be able to make connections, help their businesses usually. But I think we have to understand that everybody has different social strengths. And so if you're strong at being social, help somebody else who maybe is not as strong. And when we give, it usually comes back around to us. So I like to see things that are welcoming, and I don't like to see that, unwelcoming energy. Let's call it that.
That's a great point.
Well, Garrett, since you put me on the spot, the thing that I like is whenever Garrett's not there. But in all seriousness, I really like digital business cards because then I get to scan a little QR code. I get to have your info right in my phone. I don't have to put it in. But part of why I like the digital business cards is because it allows me to book a meeting from a meeting. I don't like seeing people at a networking group and then they say, oh, I'll get back to you.
Mm.
Well, some of the best networking opportunities that I've had was, hey, I see you physically right now. When's your calendar open? And we book something from that moment that we meet if we want to talk again or have a one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
So please, for the love of all that's holy, digital business cards, and tell me when your calendar is open while we are physically in the same place.
Well, Mackenzie, I always ask guests 2 questions at the end of our time together. The first question is, what do you like to see when you network?
I think my favorite part about networking is the community and the collaborations that come with it because people attach to people and those who have similar values and missions will always come together. Like you said at the very beginning, like attracts like. So then it becomes the power of numbers because not only do you have your own innate magic and power that you're bringing to your brand or your company, but now other people are attaching to it and they're going to help you reach those goals and you get to go for it together through like Powerpuff Girl power, and really amplify everything that you're doing. And that's where friendships are made and that's where collaborations are made. And without networking, especially in today's world, that is how people make friends. Like if you don't make friends, go find a networking group, even if you're not looking for business, which you always are, right? But that is a way to find really incredible people that can turn out to be long-term business partners. That's how I met all of my business partners.
That's a great answer. Thank you. Yeah, it's so much fun having friends that also you can trust to refer to your other friends and family when they need problems solved. What do you not like to see when you network?
It is very difficult sometimes, especially if you're coming to networking events alone. If you don't know people and there are people that maybe come regularly, there might become little cliques. And it's really hard to like push yourself in there and to get a conversation because you might feel very awkward, especially if you're not an extroverted person or you don't know how to have conversations. So, one thing that I've done to really combat that because people will look at me and assume that I'm an extroverted, loud, confident person. And I absolutely can be in a one on one setting like this. But in a setting where people don't know me or I don't know them, it's very different. But you can be strategic here and wear something fun. So, one, people automatically come up to me and say, oh my God, I love your hair. Perfect. That starts the conversation. Or I'll wear a hot pink blazer, or I will have fully rhinestoned boots that I wear, and people will come and comment on my shoes. And those are really great ways to open up a conversation for other people to come and speak to you.
That's a great tip. Yeah. Yeah, I've said too, like if there's a necklace that you get complimented on, wear it. Wear it when you're going to that new place because then it's helpful for other people to have something to talk to you about. And then you can always use compliments on your end to people to get the conversation started. This has been a great conversation. And so I always ask guests 2 questions as we end our time together. Danielle, what do you like to see when you network?
I like to see the host or whoever is putting together the event to make a personal mission to greet every single person that walks through the door.
That's a great mission. I kind of harp on that too. Yeah, there's people who will come into certain events that I attend regularly, and the host, it's like 20 minutes before she even sits down, because that's what she does. She talks to every single person. And then I've been to other events where I'm doing that too, but it's not my event. And the people are like, oh, do you host this? And I'm like, no, I don't. And I look over and the hosts are seated in the far corner of the room. I completely 100% agree. The host should make it a mission to greet every single person. What do you not like to see?
Okay, well, I feel like it's going to be the same answer. And it goes back to what you guys heard about, little Danielle, that was left out of the girl circle. But the reality is, I don't like to see someone left out. And I know we get excited, you guys, to see people that we recognize online or that we see every week at coffee. We're excited to catch up, but I really don't like to see someone left alone, like someone in a, standing around awkward, not sure who to talk to, and is just staring at their phone, or, you can kind of tell when someone is feeling uncomfortable. And so for me, even if it maybe makes you uncomfortable when I walk out, I'm like, hi, I just really try to look for the person that feels like they're kind of being left out. And I know we have a due diligence on our own to insert ourselves and kind of walk up, but it can be really intimidating when you walk into a group where everyone knows each other's names and they're greeting each other. And then here's the woman that finally got the courage to show up, or the gentleman finally got the courage to show up to this event, and can tell they're the oddball out.
You've been listening to the Networkers Tour Guide podcast with Faithann Basore. Share this episode with a friend, and be sure to come back next week for more networking tips and tricks from the Networkers Tour Guide.